It's really pretty shocking when you see a betting line as big as Georgia's is with Missouri. And on Sunday, it's fluctuated just a little bit, but this game opened as Georgia as a 39-point favorite at home in Athens. That is crazy. Uh, I know Georgia's playing well, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, but 39 points for a conference game is pretty excessive. This is the biggest line that I can find for Georgia in SEC history, trumping a couple of weeks ago when they were a 36-point favorite at Vanderbilt. I mean, if you were a 26-point favorite, if you were a 16-point favorite, 26-point favorite, I don't think Georgia's ever lost a game being that favored. They've lost games where they were 20-point favorite to 19-point favorite with South Carolina not so long ago in 2019. But something this big. Now, why? Why are they this big a favorite? Well, a couple things are going on at once here. First of all, they're a dominant team. They're playing really, really well. Missouri is not a good team, and it looks like Missouri is going to be could be without their starting quarterback, which would make things even worse. They beat Vanderbilt, but it was not pretty, and they gave up 28 points on the road to Vandy. So I just, the issue here for Mizzou is their defense is bad. I mean, they gave up 35 to Kentucky. They gave up 28 to Southeastern Missouri. They lost in overtime to Boston College, giving up 41. Gave up 62 to Tennessee, 35 to North Texas, 35 to Texas A&M, and this past week giving up 4 touchdowns to Vanderbilt. That's just too much. And when you see that and Georgia's gonna, them scoring is probably gonna be a real challenge for Missouri. So if you're looking at this line and you say, well, 39 seems like too much. Well, a lot of bettors agreed with you, and it's gotten knocked down just a little bit. We're sitting at 37.5 points right now, but that could jump back up a little. It's one of the largest lines this week. And you look around college football. You got LSU as a 28-point dog to Alabama. That is not. That is a lot. This line is almost as big as some people's over/unders. So I don't know. I think that this gives you a real opportunity, if this is what reality is, to get some guys in there that have not played a lot, JT Daniels, and just see where they're at and take it from there. But it is shocking that Georgia's this big a favorite over a conference team. A conference team that's a year ago, we were talking about how nobody wanted to play Missouri, and Georgia went over there and bitch slapped them by 40 or whatever it was. So I don't think the line is out of control by any stretch. I think you're talking about a Georgia team that is hungry to win, is trying to prove points to people, and in doing so, they're trying to stop people from scoring points, and they're doing a very effective job of just that. A day later, you reflect back on the Florida game, who they're 20-point favorites on the road at Carolina, and Georgia did not play well offensively, and Stetson's got to play better. He just didn't. That's the worst he's played in a year. So if Georgia wants to get where they want to go, it's going to involve better quarterback play than we saw against Florida. Now, the rest of the season, the quarterback play has been pretty good. So let's just see and monitor where everything goes. I don't know. It will be the discussion of the week again. Who will start at quarterback for the Dogs? We've seen Stetson start 5 games, JT Daniels start 3. After the game, in listening to it one more time, it did seem like Kirby was saying that starting Stetson had a lot to do with continuity. Behind the scenes, we heard that Stetson just had the better week. So if it's a matter of who's going to have the better week, that's not going to get decided until probably Wednesday. But you do, if JT is your guy, or you feel like he gives you the best chance to win, and there are people in the program that believe that, then you do need. I think you've got to play him some, whether he gives you the best chance to win or not. These are games where we're I don't know what the Tennessee line is going to be. I think that's going to be a tougher game than people think. In theory, you play on the road, Tennessee can score, but you've got some games here where you should be developing depth. You are in a position to where, you needed to get past the Gators, and they did so in pretty solid fashion. But the offense needs some work, and you're going to be working some guys in. I mean, we're going to see when George Pickens starts playing again. I think he will play at Georgia this season. The question is how quick. That's my opinion. I'm not a doctor. You got JT, obviously. You got guys like, Burton was out there yesterday. Rosemead St. Jack. I don't know if Marcus was hurt, and that looked like just a cramp, and nobody asked Kirby after the fact. And Smith, they got a lot of guys, and there's plenty of explosion left to be had in this program for what they've got on the field, or what they can put on the field. So I'm curious to see it. A season ago when Georgia played Mizzou out there in Middle Earth, it was a cold, wet day, and Georgia lit them up with JT Daniels and George Pickens. And that solidified to a lot of people just how good this team could be. They went from the Mississippi State game where they had to kind of grind it out, but they threw for 400 yards, to the Carolina game where they ran for like 1,000 yards. And people didn't take either of those games seriously because Carolina and State weren't good last year. And now you've got, and then you went to Mizzou, cold, wet, gross game. I was out there. It was just me and Roddy. And that was it. That covered the Dogs. So it was a nasty, nasty game. And Missouri scored from like the 3 from that punt block. But other than that, Georgia totally whipped them. Now the game's in Athens. And Georgia's a better team. But you could see how it was coming together a season ago when Georgia, maneuvered to get that big win over Missouri. It was such it was an important game for them. Fast forward 11 months later, because that game was played in December, and Georgia's on a different path. Missouri certainly is on a different path, and this is another opportunity for Georgia to create depth, play guys like Chaz Chambliss, MJ Sherman, guys who should be playing and being developed. You look at the board, Marius Mims, you've got guys like Xavier Truss, Stackhouse, Bill Norton. There are players that need to keep developing. Zion Logue, although Zion plays a lot, just generally speaking, continue to rotate the line and then get the starters out quick. Now, if JT starts for some reason, I'm not sure how quick I would get him out. I'd get him out, but I wouldn't. He needs to play. If he's going to play, he needs to play. And it looks to me like he's going to be playing. Now, how much and when, I'm not going to get. I don't know that stuff. I know this. The quarterback play has to be better than it was yesterday, no matter who the quarterback is. If it's Stetson, Stetson brings a lot to the table running the football. Stetson brings a lot to the table with maturity. Stetson brings a lot to the table making plays. He just did not play well yesterday. If you're going to play JT, he does need to play. They played Stetson when he was not the starter against Carolina. He had earned that time. Well, now it's time for JT to go out there and fight his way to some playing time too, or the start. It's up to those guys. It's up to those players. It's not a fan decision. It's up to them. And it will become evident in practice what should happen. Georgia, a 37.5-point favorite right now over the Missouri Tigers. That's crazy. We'll see you over on the website, dogpost.com.